Greetings dear children. In this video, we will be learning how to use hardly or scarcely in a sentence correctly. The conjunction hardly when or scarcely when is used to denote simultaneous actions. You get question which begins with as soon as or no sooner, and you will be asked to begin with hardly or scarcely. And this question comes in English paper 1. Question 5, D main, that is transformation of sentences. Let's look at the examples. As soon as I called my mother, my phone rang. Another question, no sooner had she entered the forest than she saw the tiger. How to solve this? Let's remember this simple trick. You should begin with a hardly. The first one is hardly. Let's look at the first example. As soon as I called my mother, my phone rang. So hardly, then helping verb had. You can see the question called. It is in past tense. Okay, so had plus third form of the verb to be used. So had, then you should mention the subject I. As soon as I called the subject I. Hardly had I. Then what is the first action? Called my mother. That's the first action. So hardly had I called my mother. When, we should use a hardly, when, scarcely, when. When, then the subject, my phone, then the second action is rang. So the answer is hardly had I called my mother when my phone rang. Let's look at the second example. No sooner had she entered the forest than she saw the tiger. Scarcely, then helping verb had, then the subject is a she here, she. And the first action is entered the forest. Then instead of then, here since it is scarcely, we should use when. The subject here it is a she, and the second action is saw the tiger. So the answer is scarcely had she entered the forest when she saw the tiger. Now you can pause the video and solve. No sooner had I stood near the pool than I noticed the bubbles in the water. You can begin with a hardly and scarcely. Either hardly or scarcely. Yes, let's look at the answer. Hardly had I stood near the pool when I noticed the bubbles in the water. The same rule is applicable for scarcely as well. Scarcely had I stood near the pool when I noticed the bubbles in the water. See, the same rule is applied here. First hardly or scarcely, helping verb, then subject here it is I, so we have used here. And what's the first action? Stood near the pool. Instead of than, if we are writing which begins with a hardly or scarcely, when to be used, and the subject here I. The second action is noticed the bubbles in the water. 2 questions I have given. Do it yourself. Thank you.